All right, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson again. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm not sure what happened. It's the internet. So we'll start the show again. I apologize, and hopefully this time around we're not experiencing those buffer issues. So it happens. Life on the internet. And I think we still have a couple calls online, so we'll take the calls as they come in. As I was saying earlier in the show, we were talking about Mac Jones and just kind of the preparation that he has. I feel it's really the sound of the week with Mac Jones talking about, Missouri's defense. I love the clip overall. So here's Mac Jones breaking down Missouri's defense, and then we'll take your calls and we'll start the show again. So rule number one on the internet, never freak out. Here's Mac Jones talking about Missouri's defense.
They're a really good defense. Ryan Walters, their defensive coordinator, does a great job schematically, on the back end with their cornerbacks, number 14 and number 8. They look pretty good. Obviously, they might have some guys out, but those guys in the back end look good. Number 9, Tyree Gillespie, their safety. And number 1 this year, he switched numbers, Bledsoe. He looks good in the back end. And then 32 is kind of like their workhorse of the defense. Nick Bolton looks really good. They have another good linebacker. He switched to number 11 this year. He looks good. Their defensive line's really old. I think it's all seniors up there. 78, Kobe, their nose guard, gets off the ball really well. 39, Chris Turner's an edge rusher. So they got some good guys up there. They got Trey Williams, number 0, is a defensive end who plays well. So it's really an old defense that focuses on effort, and they make a lot of effort plays. So watching them on tape, they've been really impressive, and we got to be ready to go.
All right, good stuff. That was Mac Jones, and I believe we still have Austin from Missouri. He's been online for quite some time, so we'll bring him back in. Austin, what's up, buddy?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Man, you hung with us through the storm.
Is anything buffering?
No. I think we're good. But you weathered the storm, so we appreciate it, man. So let's start over. We're talking about our excitement for this year, the excitement for the season. Go ahead, it's your show, man.
Yeah, another topic is, when Tua was playing, it felt like he had the score almost on every possession when they're on offense, because kind of being down on injuries so much that it just felt like they had to be so aggressive to the point where later in the season it just kind of killed us with injuries on defense. Now we're going to get a different taste that we're not accustomed to with this crazy pass offense with all these elite defenders. It's going to be a show. It's going to be giving me some flashbacks to 2016, but even more crazier than that. I can't believe what we're about to witness this year.
Yeah, I think when you look at this team overall, I think there's plenty of storylines going into this game. I think for me, looking at the defense, everybody's going to have a microscope, I feel, on Pete Golding. They want to see improvements on the defensive side of the ball. I think a lot of people are so excited, and rightfully so, about this young man, and that's William Anderson, coming in as a freshman to Alabama and, really doing, showcasing his ability during fall training camp to really get on the field as a starter for Alabama's defense. You also have Malachi Moore. So plenty of storylines, but I think one of those storylines going into the season is certainly talking about Alabama's defense. And I think it's clearly going to be under a microscope, and you want to see improvement. You want to see production. But when you have a guy like William Anderson out there, that's not only exciting, but that tells you about his playing level. But I think it all focuses around Dylan Moses, right? I mean, he's the heart and soul of the defense. So I'm expecting an improved defense overall. I still have concerns about the secondary, and I guess we'll figure it out on Saturday evening.
For sure. And Malachi Moore is also just kind of giving me, feelings of getting kind of like Minka Fitzpatrick vibes. And watching him in high school and his highlights, I was like, I can't see him not starting as a freshman. And then there you go. Week 1, he's in the depth chart as starter at star. And I was like, well, no shocker there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have Malachi Moore, you have Jordan Battle, who's a sophomore. You have Daniel Wright. I think Daniel Wright, when you look at guys that we really haven't talked a lot about in the secondary, Daniel Wright's probably some guy to pencil in is maybe a star on the rise or a guy that you don't know about. I think towards the later part of the season, towards the later part of fall training camp, excuse me, this guy really turned into a ball hawk. I mean, he's played in 31 games at Alabama. He's a veteran and a guy who really needs to step up, and I think it's his time. So watch for Daniel Wright to show a lot of improvements. And then, of course, you have DeMarco Hellams. DeMarco Hellams is kind of that thumper that you need back there as a safety. So there's guys back on Alabama's secondary that are going to rise up. But I think when you look at an area that, needs to showcase that they can stop big-time receivers, it's certainly the secondary with Alabama. What else you got, Austin?
Another guy I'm really excited about. I kind of feel like they're kind of not talking it as much anymore. Is Trey Sanders. Him coming back from being injured last year. I think him and Najee and Brian Robinson, they're just going to substitute like crazy this year, and it's going to be a crazy show. It's going to be one to remember. I just have that feeling.
Yeah, I think the running backs when you look at Trey Sanders especially. I mean, this guy, redshirt freshman, he's certainly going to get his opportunities on Saturday. It's all about Najee Harris, and that's why he's calling it the campaign season. I think they're going to feed Najee Harris as many times as possible, but certainly Trey Sanders has that talent and that ability to really make an impact for Alabama, and I think he's going to do that sooner than later. Of course, you got Brian Robinson. It's a very stacked running back room, as you know, but I think it all starts with Najee Harris. I think we're all excited to see Trey Sanders. We're all excited to see Bryce Young. These younger guys, just because we haven't seen them in action, we're so eager to see them come game time. But I think it all starts with Najee Harris, and this is something that Steve Sarkisian has talked about. He said his offensive philosophy starts with the ground game, and that's going to open up the passing game. So we appreciate you calling in, Austin. Please join us for the post game show, which will be Saturday evening following the game, and we'll talk to you then. Okay, thanks, buddy.
All right, man. I'll be there. You have a good one.
You too, buddy. All right, that was Austin from Missouri, and thank you so much for staying on with us. All right, next we got Alex from Ohio. Alex, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining the show.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for staying with us during those technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Things happen. So you and Austin kind of touched on some of what I wanted to talk to you about. So with all of the hype with the defense, what realistic expectations do you have for the defense this first game? Specifically, Will Anderson and Malachi Moore just being freshmen with one game removed from high school with no fall camp. What kind of realistic expectations do you have for those two?
I mean, I think you can start out with William Anderson. I think the expectations are really high in my end. As I've said in a couple of my videos, the nuggets that I've been passed around, I mean, people have told me that, there's been a couple of times at practice where the offense literally just cannot get anything done. This is the first team offense because William Anderson is that disruptive. Now, are we going to see that on Saturday? I mean, keep in mind, this guy's a freshman. So, I think if he doesn't have 3 sacks, 2 sacks, 1 sack on Saturday, don't write him off just yet. But I think it tells us that he's ready to obviously compete at this level, and he has the instincts and ability to play at this level. Same thing with Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore, what type of an impact is he going to have at that star position? Well, that's yet to be said, but clearly he's turned heads. Otherwise, he wouldn't be starting. And I think you also got to pencil in Brian Branch, another guy who's a freshman. So those are your kind of 3 freshmen that we're watching as we inch closer towards Saturday, guys that are really going to have the ability to showcase their stuff, starting with the first team defense. And that says a lot because, Sal Sinceri, who's the outside linebackers coach, he's just not going to throw you in. I mean, you have to understand the complex defense. You have to know exactly what you're doing. And to give William Anderson a shot to do that says a lot about that young man's talent and his IQ. Alabama has a complex defense, and William Anderson, I mean, him starting is really phenomenal.
I agree. Like I said, you and Austin touched on most of my stuff, so that was pretty much all I had left.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And remember, we're having a post-game call-in show immediately following the game, so definitely join us. All right, Alex?
Thank you very much.
Talk to you soon. All right. That was Alex in Ohio. And next we got Jared from Texas. Jared, what's up, man? CFB, right?
Yep, CFB Jared. I'm
And
so excited that the season is back. Geez, man. It seems like as soon like each day that comes closer feels longer, like the wait. But what? Only 3 more days?
3 more long days. These are going to feel like eternity for all of us college football fans. But we're inching closer. I mean, I think there was a large camp of us that felt, A, this day might not get here, and B, things are going to slow down in the college football realm. I mean, you look at what just happened with Notre Dame and Wake Forest, and there was a lot of cases with Missouri. And, I think Power Mizzou, which does a great job covering the Missouri Tigers, recently reported that it's not 12 players that have COVID, but it's 7 that will be out. So, 7 players. I'm sure there's going to be a couple players out from Alabama. I don't know how many. I don't know if any, to be honest, because they don't disclose that to the media. But I do know that Ronald Williams will be out. So I guess we'll have to wait for post game or for a pregame to see, what players are not there. What else you got, Jared?
Of course, with the callers that I've already called, we talked about Will Anderson, but I got to talk about him as well. Like, this is, I've never been this excited for any Bama player, and I don't think we've seen a freshman this hyped up, and deservedly so. I'm pretty sure, at least, since like Julio Jones. Of course, Minka Fitzpatrick made a lot of noise coming into his freshman year, and obviously was amazing his freshman year as well. But I don't know if we've seen anyone this hyped up since Julio, and obviously Julio was amazing. So I'm so excited. I saw a rumor that, it's not like confirmed or anything, but that like apparently he got like 5 or 6 sacks in one of the scrimmages. If that's true, that is just insane, but honestly not surprising considering how good he is. Just his speed to power is insane, and if he can somehow manage to get 4 sacks a game, I will be very happy.
Yeah, I think any type of production that we see from him is going to be exciting. I don't know if he had 5 sacks in a scrimmage. That wouldn't surprise me to see if that was true, just because he's I've heard he's just so disruptive at practice. I am too. Like, at the beginning of fall training camp, I think everyone was just like Bryce Young. And still, on Saturday, people want to see Bryce Young. But on the defensive side, I think we're all kind of waiting for which freshman or which defensive player would really rise up besides Dylan Mosen, and it looks like it's been William Anderson. So everyone's certainly excited to see from him. Let me ask you something, Jared, while you're on. What's your anticipation level for seeing freshman Bryce Young?
I think that, obviously Mac will be the starter. Well, he's named the starter, but he'll come in. But they'll definitely, the staff isn't. They're smart enough to realize, obviously how good Bryce Young is. So they're gonna definitely give him like a couple series, like right after Mac goes in, which is why, I anticipate Mac going in for the first series, hopefully scoring a touchdown, and then they'll put Bryce in. But I definitely think this is Mac's job. It's just like, I think Mac has to like screw it up kind of to lose it. Because, obviously he has the experience, the staff trusts him. He's done well in camp from what we've seen. And, I'm excited. Of course, it's cool to have that new shiny toy in Bryce Young, but obviously Mac Jones, I think, can get the job done as well. So I think we'll see Mac hold on to the job unless he, drops the ball kind of.
Yeah, I think, when you look at the quarterback situation, I knew it was going to be Mac coming into the season. I knew that Mac would be the starter. And, I'm not surprised to see that Mac Jones was named the starter by any means. I think he has the ability. I think he has, most importantly, the experience. Here's a nugget for everybody. You guys ready for this one? I heard at the beginning of the week that Mac Jones listed at close to 230 pounds. Yeah, he's put on some muscle. I know he's listed at I think 220 pounds, but I'm telling you, Mac Jones has put on a lot of good muscle. This dude is an athlete. He's sleepy athletic. I don't think people know that about Mac Jones. And we have some sound of Nick Saban talking about Mac Jones recently, and just about how ready this young man is for this game on Saturday. You guys all saw him breaking down Missouri's defense. Here's Nick Saban talking about Mac Jones.
Well, I think that's really what you'd like for players to do in terms of their preparation. You got to know yourself, obviously, but you also have to know your opponent. And they have a very good defensive team. I think our players respect that. And they've got a lot of starters back from a year ago. So that's a good thing that we're well prepared. We understand exactly who's going to be where. I think that's important for the quarterback. It's important for the offensive line, especially when it comes to pass protection and point outs. And the running back has to know the same thing. So same thing for the defensive players.
All right, that was Nick Saban talking about Mac Jones. Please let me know if the stream is better. I apologize for the earlier technical difficulties. You know what happens when you try to mix up the internet. Sometimes things just don't go your way. What else you got, Jared White, on the line?
I want to talk about like obviously besides because we know Will Anderson's gonna hopefully break out. But besides Will Anderson, like some guys who I think will definitely come into their own. Obviously, Jordan Battle, we saw a lot of flashes from him his freshman year. He obviously, he got that interception in his first game versus Duke. And he's going to be starting, and I'm really excited about him. I definitely think he can be like a 3-and-done type of guy, go in the first round. He's just another one of the like safeties that we've produced. And then another one would have to be, well, I don't know I think, is it Chris Allen going to be starting, or is he still in a position battle with Ben Davis?
No, you have Chris Allen. So Chris Allen and William Anderson will be your outside linebackers for the opener against Missouri. I'm curious to see how much time Ben Davis will get. And then behind William Anderson, you have Drew Sanders. I think we have, we have actually the depth chart. I'll have my guys bring up the depth chart on the defensive side. And you can kind of look at that depth chart right there. This is the defensive depth chart for Alabama. So as you can see at that Jack outside linebacker position, you got William Anderson, and then behind him you have Drew Sanders. And then at that Sam outside linebacker, you got Chris Allen and then Ben Davis.
Yeah, and then lastly, definitely LeBron Ray. I know last year, he was starting for us, but of course he got injured like midway through game 3. But I mean, he was playing like, of course, he wasn't like destroying the competition, but he was doing well. Like looking at the stats, I'm pretty sure he had, what was it, like 8 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble. So I mean, for those 3 games, well, 2.5 technically, he was doing really well. He's just got to stay healthy, with Ballou and Ray coming in. Obviously Ronald Wood, the JUCO transfer, is the only one we've like heard about that's gotten like injured. Oh, Barmore as well, but I think he should be good. But so I'm really happy with the injury prevention that they've done, and hopefully LeBron Ray can stay healthy, because if he does, I definitely think he can go in the first round this year, because he's just that good. But he's flashed so much, he's just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think LeBron Ray is certainly one of those guys that couldn't have a gigantic impact on the pass rush. Same with Christian Barmore. We're still waiting to find out the final details of him. Saban said that, he's kind of curious to see, if he can play this Saturday. I think he suffered a minor knee injury. But thank you so much, Jared, for joining us tonight. We appreciate your feedback. Remember, join us on Saturday for the post-game show. Also catch our tailgate show. But we appreciate you calling, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. CFB Jared, one of our great friends who's calls. All right. Next, we're going to take Edward from California, and he wants to talk about John Mechie. Edward, what's up, man? Thank you very much for calling the show. I appreciate you being patient on the call-in line.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, Kyle. I want to say you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. So first thing I want to talk about is John Mechie. I could see him having a big year as a number 3 receiver, obviously behind Waddle and Smith. Do you see him having a pretty big impact this year, seeing that obviously he's going to see the field a lot more? Do you see him having an impact on the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I first of all, I appreciate the call from Cali. I got great love for Cali. I think when you look at the wide receiver position for Alabama, this is actually John Mechie last year. He changed numbers recently, or at the end of last season or whatever. But he's clearly the number 3 wide receiver. I think even on BamaInsider.com, someone was asking if he is the 3rd wide receiver on this team. Yes, absolutely. Remember, he was the A-Day MVP. So you have Devontae Smith, who caught for 1,200 yards. You have Jalen Waddle coming back, who caught for just under 600 yards. And then you have John Mechie coming back. And I think John Mechie is a guy with a lot of talent, a lot of high skill set. I don't think you're going to miss a beat, which is really surprising considering you just lost Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, who were first-round draft picks. But that's what Alabama does, right? Every single year, You have guys that are high impact players. Jalen Waddle right there. It's just unbelievable to watch him. There's John Mechie right there. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. I don't know how many yards he's going to catch for, but I know he's going to be very productive. I mean, when you start to look at the other wide receivers kind of beneath him at that 4 and 5 spot, you have Javon Baker, you have Slade Bolden, you have Xavier Williams. Those are kind of the next wide receivers in the pipe. I think one of the things that you have to think about, and this is Javon Baker, my goodness, let this clip roll. This guy is like an alpha, came in. I cannot wait to see him in action. I mean, this guy just gets it. I mean, this was at the Rivals.com camp last summer, and my goodness, I mean, kid just goes after the football. But I think that this wide receiving unit is great. And when you look at the guys that Alabama has recruited in the class of 2021, you got bigger wide receivers. Ajay Hall, I think he's 6'3". You got Ja'Cory Brooks out of Miami. Now at the IMG, I think he's 6'3" as well. So a lot of guys with now height. And I think the only guy right now that's a bigger wide receiver, I think it's Trayshawn Holden, who's kind of one of those bigger wide receivers, or Thao Jones Bell, either one of those guys. Yeah, the wide receiver is definitely John Mechie at that 3 spot. What else you got, Edward?
Okay, great, thank you. And the other thing is, as far as the offensive line, I kind of feel like we're better if we have Emil Ekiyor in there instead of Chris Owens. I think we're better if we have Dickerson at center and then Emil in there on the O-line instead of Chris Owens. How do you feel about that? Because I know they have a couple of different lineups that they had talked about where they possibly may include each of those.
Yeah, show the graphic of the depth chart, please, Trey. Not the offensive line, please. When you look at the offensive line, right here, this is a depth chart that Alabama recently provided, and I agree with you. I think Landon Dickerson at the center position probably gives you your best bet, which is going to move Deontay Brown to that left guard position, and then you got Emil Ekiyor at that right guard. So I think when you look at road graders, especially for Alabama's power run game, I mean, running behind those guys is going to be fun for Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, or Trey Sanders, and then the tackles are phenomenal, right? Evan Neal and Alex Leatherwood. I mean, those guys are both 6'7", so they should provide the pass protection. And then Deontay Brown and Landon Dickerson. I mean, talk about road graders. So I love that offensive line setup. Kind of surprising to see Chris Owens and Kendall Randolph as the backups at that tackle position, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I mean, offensive line's ridiculous. So thank you very much for calling in, Edward. I appreciate it. Please join us for the post-game show immediately following the game on Saturday.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Edward in California. All right, next we're moving to Richard from Alabama.
There's no way that's going to happen.
Richard, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. How you doing? I'm just so excited for this season. Roll Tide, man.
Yeah, roll tide to you, buddy. I mean, we never thought we were going to get here. I mean, there's a lot of people who felt that the college football season wasn't going to get here. Now, just a couple of days away. I know that Thursday and Friday and even Saturday are going to be the longest days that we're going to have to go through.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just really mad about these LSU fans, man. This, like, last year, we barely lost to them, and they want to say that they're going to come. They're saying they're going to beat us this year, and I'm just like, they barely beat us last year, and then look how much y'all lost this year. And then you got Coach O, who's, to me, in my personal opinion, he don't got no class. Like, he just, after the game, he says F Bama, and that just fires me up, and it makes me want to beat them real bad, beat them by like 20, 30 points, and then we're not gonna stoop to their level. We're gonna, Nick Saban's always. After the game, he's like, well, LSU's a great team, but Coach Orgeron didn't give Alabama no credit after the game. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think when you look at kind of teams of, in the SEC, and by the way, Alabama was picked to finish first in the SEC, and that was released today. I think the strongest opponent is, when you look at those first 4 games, is clearly Georgia. Georgia returning a great amount on the defensive side of the ball. Kirby Smart has had Nick Saban in a headlock, a couple times, right? And Nick Saban's been able to wiggle out of those with the backup quarterback. LSU is a team that everybody wants just because of the fact that, they beat Alabama last year, and their offense was obviously fantastic. Orgeron did a great job with that passing game, and Joe Burrow was fantastic. I mean, I never thought I'd see a team that electrifying come to Bryant-Denny and outshoot the Crimson Tide.
They're the best. They're probably the best college football team in history, but they're not going to be anywhere near as good as they were this year. No way.
Oh,
There's just no way.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at everyone they lost. I mean, there's a reason guys are opting out. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall. I mean, it's hard to duplicate what Alabama has done for many, many years, and that's stay at the pinnacle of college football. I mean, yeah, a one and done, winning the title every now and then is great, but can you do it consecutively? Can you stay at the top consecutively?
Did you hear what Coach O said about after the game?
Yeah. Didn't he say like F Bama?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said F Alabama.
I mean, it's not.
He didn't say nothing about they were what.
I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, he comes into Brian Denny. I'm sure he was fired up. I mean, I don't think anyone wanted that to get leaked. I mean, maybe they did. I mean, I've been to Baton. The first time I went to Baton Rouge was a couple years ago. Okay, I go to Baton Rouge is my first time because a lot of people don't know I'm not from SEC country, right? I'm from New Mexico, so I come to SEC country. Been here now almost 5 years in Tuscaloosa, so I go to Baton Rouge, and my goodness, the tailgate went for miles and miles and miles. And I'll tell you what, cover Alabama, right? If LSU would have won that football game, I'd have ripped up my shirt and put an LSU shirt on because that would have been the craziest party that was taking place in the entire country. Alabama goes into a very hostile stadium and shuts them out. And then the next year they come back, completely reformatted offense, and they outshoot Tua Tagovailoa. Now, if he would have been 100% healthy, I think Alabama obviously would have won that game. And I think if the game would have been extended a little bit more, Alabama would have won that game. But, that's how it goes. And LSU is a team that Alabama clearly has in the crosshairs. And I think that game in Baton Rouge is one we're all looking forward to.
I think they're going to go about 7-3 this year. But, it's going to be very difficult for anybody in the SEC with having an all SEC schedule for, it's going to be very hard for Bama to go undefeated, I wouldn't be surprised if we went 9-1 and won the SEC championship game, but we're definitely going to be in the playoffs. I seriously doubt we won't, but it's going to be very difficult to go undefeated this season.
I mean, look at that schedule. I mean, okay, Missouri, yeah, it's a 4-touchdown favorite, but look at that. Texas A&M, Kellen Mund's a problem. Jimbo Fisher, I mean, he's a good coach. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, he's got tricks. Georgia, I mean, my goodness, coming with that defense. Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, Alabama clearly still going to be a 14-point favorite, but Jeremy Pruitt's and improve that program. You got Mike Leach in Stark Vegas. Then you got LSU. You got Kentucky, sneaky good defense. Auburn, Gus Malzahn. And then that last game against Arkansas, kind of like this first game that we're talking about. So it's a gauntlet of a schedule. I agree with you, man. I mean, Alabama has never had to go 10 games in SEC play back to back to back. And then you add on an SEC championship game. You add on a playoff game. You add on a title game. Mac Jones brought up a great point. He said, if Alabama is able to go undefeated this year, I mean, this could be one of the greatest teams ever. No teams had to go to the gauntlet 10 games in a row and finish out with SEC schedule, SEC championship, and college football playoff and a title game.
If Alabama comes out there and puts up or beats Missouri by 50 points, I definitely think that Bama will probably go undefeated. But it's just a tough SEC schedule. But I got to go. Appreciate you talking.
Yeah, take it easy, Richard. Appreciate it, buddy. All right. Next on the line, we got Q. What's up, Q? Q from New York. Q, are you there? Q.
Hey, Kyle.
What's up, Q? How you doing, buddy?
All is well. Roll Tide. It's game week, baby. It's Roll Tide, baby.
It's finally that time. I'm glad you called in. I miss talking with you, man. Everything going all right up in New York?
Everything's going well. We thank God. Can't complain. It's game week, baby.
Q, give me real quick. What is the key to success for Alabama on Saturday besides just showing up and unleashing Mac Jones and this freshman William Anderson?
Defense. Defense is the key this week. Defense is the key going up to Georgia. By that time, we should be defensively set. We should know our keys. All the defensive players should be on point. First and foremost, I'd just like to say that it's game week, baby. In Missouri, we're coming for you. We're on the road to 10-0. By the grace of God, we'll have 10-0. Georgia won't be a pretty game, but we'll come out with the W for sure. I know that. That's what we're preparing for. We talking about we preparing for Missouri, yeah, game by game, but no, we already our mindset is on Georgia. Our mindset is on Mississippi for what they did to Tua last year. Our mindset is on Auburn because we need that revenge. You know that. But we just got to keep on fighting. You can't complain. We just got to keep doing our thing. Our defense got to make sure they come hard, come heavy, fight, and play like that old Saban defense. That Saban defense with Dante Hightower, that type of defense where we was knocking folks out. C.J. Mosley. When we had those middle linebackers that would come up, I'm really surprised at the depth chart that came out with the defense. I would expect what's his name? The one that went down with Dylan Moses last year.
Shane
Running
Lee.
number 4.
Oh,
Four.
Joshua McMillan.
Yeah, Josh McMillan. I would have expected him to be the starter because he came back and he knows the defense from the back of his hand. So I'm surprised to see that Christian Harris is starting. I don't mind Christian Harris. He's very good. He's a hybrid guy. He's fast. He could run sideline to sideline. But I actually prefer um, number 40. He's a guy that I like. Defensive line, we gotta make sure we get pressure every down, every inch. We make sure we get to the quarterback, hurries, pressure. I mean, Mississippi's gonna get their tail handed to them. We're gonna put a 50 probably on them. I'm not worried about the offense because I think the offense we had too many weapons. I'm just gonna be shocked next season. Just to speak on next season when we lose. Probably we're going to lose Jalen Waddle and we're going to lose Devontae Smith. We're going to have a whole new receiving core that's going to get out there. I'm expecting big things from Xavier Williams. I really want him to ball out this year. He's like another Calvin Ridley / Jerry Jeudy, so I'm just trying to see what he can do with his feet.
All right, Q. We're going to let you go, man, but bless everybody. Do your thing, man. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I would like to say it's game week, baby. Roll Tide roll. I mean, God bless America. God bless Alabama football. God bless Nick Saban. God bless you, Kyle. God bless me. God bless this great country. God bless our country. God bless our president of the United States. And may we see 2020.
All right. Appreciate it, Q.
2021 and 2022. God bless you all.
All right. Take it
Roll
easy, Q.
Tide, baby. Game week.
All right. Q from New York, one of my favorite callers. All right. Next, we got Marcus on the line from California. Wants to talk about the secondary and Trey Sanders. Let's get him in. Marcus, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Kyle? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for staying on the line. I know we got a lot of callers on the line, but you guys stay in there. I'll get to you as soon as I can. Marcus, I know you want to talk the secondary. I know you want to talk Trey Sanders, man. So it's your show. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of get your feedback on this. I'm a former DB. I played DB in the CFL for a couple of years, and I'm a current coach now. And so I know that the secondary is kind of like a question with the team, right? But when I look at the schedule, I don't want to overlook Missouri, but when I look at Alabama's big games like Georgia and LSU, their strengths they don't really have the weapons this year to expose our question marks, which is the secondary. Like if I look at Georgia, I don't really know who their quarterback situation is weird a little bit. They don't really know who their QB is. They don't have too many weapons outside. George Pickens is the real deal, but outside of him, they have a lot of unproven guys, right? At the running back position, even they're usually super strong there, and I know they got talent there. They got 5 stars, but they got a lot of unproven guys. LSU, they have a new quarterback situation. It's a little, we don't know what that's going to be like. Jamar Chase opted out, so their receiving core. I know they're starting a freshman. He's pretty fast, but their receiving core is not as proven. Also, and even if we look even all the way down the road, let's say into the playoffs, a possible matchup against Clemson, Justin Ross. He's out for the season, right? T. Higgins is gone. It's not a vintage Clemson receiving core as we've seen in the last couple of years. They don't got the guys from the games that I've seen in the last couple of weeks. So the first week really was what I would go off of. This is not. They still got athletes, of course, but it ain't as strong as in the past. So I just wanted to see what your perspective was on that. We don't know Alabama's. I mean, I expect Alabama's DBs to do good, but I know they are inexperienced, and so I was kind of a little bit concerned about that. But then when I looked at the schedule, I feel like it kind of favors Alabama in that area.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. You know, when you look at Alabama's secondary, sure, there's question marks. I think they'll be challenged as a very good wide receiver for Missouri that they'll be facing this week. He actually went to Abilene Christian, I believe, and he transferred to Missouri. I think he's about 6'4". So you have Patrick Surtain on the outside. Then you had Josh Jobe, who you saw right there. And Josh Jobe is kind of a guy that I think we all have, you know, we'll have our microscope on, a guy that we really want to see at that corner position. But you're right. I think when you look at teams like Georgia, when you look at teams like LSU, do they have the firepower to outshoot Alabama? And I think the short answer is no, they don't. I think when you look at a team like Auburn, you know, certainly Gus Malzahn does a great thing. They returned their quarterback, who did a great job last year. I mean, some of the things that he did last year as a freshman were pretty unbelievable. And I think when you look long term, teams that could challenge Alabama once we get later down the road, you know, Ohio State. I mean, you know, the Big Ten's back. I mean, those guys are certainly going to have, you know, everything ready to go. I think they're a team that probably match up well with Alabama. And then I think Clemson, I mean, in the two games that we've seen from them, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, certainly a beast. Of course, their schedule isn't no Alabama schedule, so you know they're going to be healthy. But I think one of the great points that you make is the fact that Alabama, I mean, limited opt-outs, right? I mean, I don't even know if there's any, to be honest. And I think that comes down to Nick Saban's overall process and about this team kind of being on a revenge tour and having unfinished business. I think last season left a bad taste in everybody's mouth on this team, and a lot of these guys coming back, Najee Harris, Dylan Moses, Mac Jones, Devontae Smith. I mean, that's a hard-hitting bunch. And I think you line up all the veterans on the offensive line, you line up all the veterans that are on the defense, Patrick Surtain and Dylan Moses most especially. I think that this team's coming. And I think this team is going to come out the gates hard. 4 touchdowns. If you're a betting man, you take that all day in this opener.
Yeah, most definitely. I expect Sartain to have a big year. I think the sky's the limit for him. He has a lot of potential. I think he'll be the best corner in the country. Josh Jobe, I like him too. He's physical. I want to see him put the ball in the air, see how he plays the ball in the air, how comfortable and confident he is. But I think he'll do good. My other thing I wanted to hit on was Trey Sanders. Me being from California, so I keep up with Mater Dei, all of the top teams and stuff like that. And so I watched IMG against Mater Dei a couple years ago with little Bryce Young and Trey Sanders head to head. And Trey Sanders was the real deal. Anytime he touched the ball, he's different. And I feel like he may not be getting as much hype as I thought he would get right now. But I feel like he'll play that Josh Jacobs role to where he might catch some people by surprise to start the season, to where he might not get a lot of touches because, I mean, the running back room is crowded and we got weapons all over the field. But I feel like whenever he touches the ball, it like hold your breath. He can score at any moment. And I expect him to have a coming out party this year and then leading into next year where he can have a big campaign.
Yeah, I think you make a great point about Trey Sanders and him being utilized. I think they can get very creative with using him out of the backfield. I think one thing that him and Najee Harris do so well is catch the ball out of the backfield. Another running back that we really haven't touched on yet is Roydell Williams, a very talented running back who's only a freshman. Heard he's very comparable to Trey Sanders, which I think says a lot. You also have Kyle Edwards, and then don't forget about Jace McClellan. So you talk about a stacked running back room. I mean, it's about as stacked as you get across the country. But it all starts with Najee Harris and Brian Robinson. Those guys are your vets. Those guys are big, imposing running backs. Alabama fans are used to seeing these types of backs, 235 pounds. If Najee Harris has to put the team on his back, he certainly can do that. The way he played at the later part of the season was incredible. Thank you very much for calling in, Mark, because we got to move to our next caller. But we appreciate you calling in tonight and appreciate the love from Cali.
Yes, sir. All right. All
right. Take it easy, man. All right, next we got Caleb from Tennessee wants to talk about William Anderson. Caleb, what's up, buddy? Good evening. Man. Thank you very much for waiting. I know a lot of people excited about this upcoming game and a lot of people excited about William Anderson.
Yeah, man. Start the show. I love the new producer, by the way, man. Great guy. He sounds like a good guy. I love what you guys got going on down there. But yeah, I wanted to talk about specifically Will Anderson. I mean, so me, when I was in high school, I played D-line. I was a defensive end, and I'm a sucker for a good pass rush. I mean, there's nothing that excites me more than seeing an end or a linebacker just shoot off that edge. And I knew as soon as I saw Will Anderson's tape, you can just see it. He's up above these linemen before the ball's even snapped and their head is raised. It is insane. they're having to stop practices because he's that disruptive. And so while everybody's talking about the offense and what's Mac Jones going to do, I feel like Bama is going back to that old style where they want to make you quit. They hate playing Alabama. You see them on their schedule and you just hate it. So everybody does their job. The previous caller was talking about Surtain and Job. Will Anderson, Drew Sanders, these guys are literally going to make their job 10 times easier because that quarterback's going to have to get that ball out. And I know he's got a lot of hype. I compare him to Tim Williams back in the day, one of my favorite edge rushers. It's just that speed, speed around the edge. So Will Anderson, Drew Sanders, and what made those 2015 and those 2016 defenses so great, it was not only the skill but the depth. They had so many fresh bodies coming in and out, and they were all just absolute studs. So you're going to have fresh. You got, like I said, Drew Sanders, Will Anderson, Brian Ray, DJ Dell. All these guys are going to be rotating, and it's just constant fresh bodies that are just going to make them quit and make them stop. So while everybody's focusing on offense, I just have a feeling we're going to go back to pound the rock. Jace McClellan, like you mentioned, I think he is the most underrated. He's super good. Watched all his film. So I think it's going to be old school Bama defense and, offense control the clock. Don't get me wrong. They're still going to make some huge plays. Of course, you got Waddle and Smitty back there. But I think this defense is, sick of being talked about. I think they're going to come out and make a point. They're going to smack you in the mouth, and they're going to really make you quit whenever you play Alabama football.
Yeah, great point. And I agree with that. I think, going into the season, I think we've talked about it so many times on my fall training camp practices reports that the defense seems to be really locked in. I think when people talk about Alabama, they're used to talking about the defense being at a higher standard, and that just hasn't been what we've seen in the past couple of years. Yes, I get that college football is changing. There's a lot more points on the board, but you bring up a great point as well. Having a more controlled offensive attack will allow the defense to stay off the field, to stay fresh, and to come in and to be aggressive. I think when you look at the depth chart from the defense, there's so much talent on the defensive line. LeBron Ray looks fantastic. Phil Mathis is a guy that I like to talk about. I think he's going to do well. Christian Barmore, I think he's probably questionable for this week, at least according to Nick Saban. But up front, I really like what Alabama's bringing to the table. And, of course, you hit on it. And just like a lot of people have been talking about, William Anderson, such a beast. And I think the edge rusher really needs to get into the quarterback because I think the pass rush just hasn't been what it's needed to be for Alabama over the past couple seasons. I think that's going to change. And I think it's going to change in week one. Absolutely. Before we continue, we just want to throw up a super chat leaderboard right now. Thank you very much to all the super chats. Helps our show continue to grow. So that's on the screen right there. We'll update this as we continue to go forward. Club 100, Randall Williams, Tony Hill. Thank you so much. Bombs, always dropping bombs. We got to update that. I know you contributed last night on Bone Show. And then Gary Franklin just jumped right into the 100 Club. So thank you very much to all our contributors right here on BamaInsider.com. I think when we look kind of at the spectrum of this game, 4 touchdowns. Do you take that? When you kind of look at it, Caleb, it seems like that's almost a gimme in this game.
Yeah, if I'm a betting man, I'm taking that all day. It's there. Honest to God, I don't see Missouri scoring a single point, and I'm not being a homer. I just don't see. Don't get me wrong; they're an experienced group. But we have too much to prove, and that defense is absolutely filthy. I'm still high on Brian Branch and Malachi Moore. They're both kind of pushing for that role. Personally, I'm a big Brian Branch fan. I called, a couple weeks ago talking about him. But, yeah, all day, man. I see this game going, 40s, like high 30s, low 40s to 0. It's not Bama defense what's been played, and that's Saban's specialty. And I promise you, these kids are watching the media and they're hearing people talk about it. Like Bama's done, the defense is done. So you can bet that Bama's going to lay a goose egg on those Missouri Tigers. So I would take that bet all day. But listen, buddy, I love what you guys are doing. I'm kind of chilling at the house right now, having to self-isolate, going through the COVID thing. So. Just kind of waiting on Bama football, man. It's like Christmas time around here. So,
all right. Well,
you guys
Caleb,
keep doing what you're doing.
Caleb, number one, take care of yourself. We'll be around this weekend. We're going to have a watch party, so you could join us. And then after the game, we'll take your calls and we'll break everything down right here on BamaInsider.com. So appreciate the call tonight. All right, Caleb?
Awesome, buddy. You guys stay safe.
All right, take it easy, buddy. All right. That was Caleb from Tennessee. Next, we got Chris from Alabama wanting to talk about the offensive line. Chris, thank you very much for being patient on the line. Appreciate you calling in tonight. You want to talk about the offensive line, the best offensive line in the entire country?
Roll Tide.
Yeah, right. I mean, offensive line so stacked. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I want to get back to like you said, our offensive line is used to having, we got a stout backfield. Our backfield is really stout this year. We deep. We got one of the deepest backfields in the country. And for one of the last couple of years, in the last few years, we have, from Mark Ingram to Derrick Henry won Heisman trophies. Like, I think it's time that our running back, it's about time for one of our running backs to have like a Heisman moment. I'm thinking everybody talk about Najee and Trey Sanders and Jace and everybody else, but I think Brian Robinson is the key.
What a great story it would be if Brian Robinson just comes out and him and Najee are able to have some sort of tandem where they just absolutely crush it. Because I agree with you. I mean, I've been covering Alabama football since Brian Robinson got here. And, at first I heard he was one of the fastest running backs on the team. And then he kind of lost sight of him. And, he's been humble. He's never complained. He's never gone to social media and complained that he's not getting fed. He's out of Hillcrest, right in Tuscaloosa. He's an in-state guy. A lot of people like him. I like his game. I mean, 226 pounds, 230 pounds, whatever he is. Dude is absolutely jacked. And he looks like he has a bit more pop. So I think when you dub him and Najee Harris, clearly the best running back tandem in all the country. Last year, close to 500 yards. I think that he's going to be used in a variety of positions, a variety of situations, rather, and especially during goal line. I think, you have him as that third down back, wherever you're going to slide him in. It doesn't matter. I think just Brian Robinson is a key contributor this year, no question about it.
Yeah, he is the key contributor. I liked him in the spring game. When he first showed up. In the spring game, he showed he had power and he can run. But I wanted to get to the wide receivers too, like the second string, man, and the fourth guys on the second string. Everybody's talking about Jalen Waddle and Smitty and John Mitchell, but Xavier Williams, Slade Bolden, Trayshawn Holden, those guys. I feel like those guys, Xavier Williams, I feel like those guys can really step up this year and show improvement.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the wide receivers a little bit earlier on the show, and I think, it goes Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, as you talked about. A lot of people don't know about how good John Mechie is. John Mechie, I think, is going to be fantastic this year. And then you got some younger guys who are, going to cut their teeth this year. Slade Bolden. You got Xavier Williams. You got Javon Baker right here, number 5, who's been turning heads. And then just as you said, Trayshawn Holden, Dow Jones Bell. There's so much talent at the wide receiver position. And I mentioned this earlier as well. The next wide receivers coming up, are ridiculous, right? You got Christian Leary, one of the fastest wide receivers in the entire country. Ja'Cory Brooks, 6'3" out of IMG. I mean, he's just been killing it. And then you got Ajay Hall, who was beating up that poor defensive back the other day. So, he's coming in with that physical mindset. And those are the next wide receivers coming in. So you got guys going out to the NFL first-round draft. Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith are that next cut. And then you got John Mechie and, kind of the rest of that crew behind him. But I'm telling you, Javon Baker, and we've talked about the hype of Bryce Young. He's going to his thing. You got William Anderson. I'm telling you, Javon Baker is going to be a menace. This young man is the alpha. He's got the alpha mentality. He wants the ball. I saw him at this Rivals camp, and I keep playing this clip because it was ridiculous to go to. He was calling out every single DB. He wasn't waiting in the wide receiver groups. He was just like shoving kids to the side. There he is with Bryce Young right here. And he was just like stepping up. So talk about that alpha mentality, guys that want to contribute early and clearly who have it. Javon Baker, one of those guys. Anything else, Chris, while we got you on the line?
Yeah, I want to talk about one thing. What you think of Jordan Bowden?
Oh, I think what he did last year, he played in 9 games as a true freshman. I think he started in 4 games. Very talented, ball hawk abilities. He's got a lot of responsibility this year, being a sophomore back there. And, sophomores sometimes can be sophomoric. So I'm interested to see how his game has evolved year over year, but I have a lot of faith in him. Clearly, he wouldn't be starting if, the coaches didn't have that same faith in him. And I think Daniel Wright, we talked about Daniel Wright earlier, 31 games played since he's been at Alabama, which is pretty remarkable. And what I've heard from fall training camp, he kind of turned into a ball hawk later in fall training camp. So safety wise was a big question mark for me before fall training camp, but now I feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that Daniel Wright and Jordan Battle, and don't forget about DeMarco Helms. I mean, when Alabama puts another DB out there in that dime package, I mean, look for DeMarco Helms to be kind of that guy to lay the wood, a big thumper right there.
Yeah, DeMarco Helms remind me of Ronnie Harrison.
Who just wait, DeMarco Helms, that dude is he's gonna lay the wood on somebody. I got to run to my next caller, Chris, but thank you so much for calling in, and it's really good to have some dialogue, man. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to our next caller, we got Corey from Alabama wants to talk about Christian Barmore. What's up, Corey? Thank you very much for being patient, man. I know there's a lot of calls tonight to get through, but thank you for calling in tonight. We appreciate it.
Hey Kyle, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you very much for calling in. It's been a long time coming, but we finally made it to this last week before there's actual football for Alabama.
It's great to see SEC football on TV, and we got some pretty good games. It's not just Alabama, but Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Ole Miss. I mean, I could see a couple of upsets or at least close games being played. I mean, if you look at Kentucky and Auburn, for example, even though Auburn's favorite, Kentucky's not going to back down, and Kentucky has a very good offensive line. And Auburn, they lost Derek Brown and their other defensive lineman, and it could be a close game. And then with Florida and Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's probably going to pull out some things that Florida's not seen, so you never know what could happen. And then with LSU and then with Mississippi State, even though LSU is a big favorite with the air raid with Mike Leach and LSU losing all the talent there, you just don't know what could happen. But as far as Alabama goes, I think Alabama should handle Missouri. But a couple of things I want to ask you with Alabama, with Christian Barmore possibly being out, does that hurt Alabama any chance on the pass rush, or should Alabama be fine in that area?
I think that, it's, a little worrisome that he might be questionable for this weekend. I think we're all really excited to see Christian Barmore and what he could bring to the table in terms of getting to that quarterback. But I think LeBron Ray, I think Justin Ebogbe, I think those guys have been steady throughout fall training camp. Justin Ebogbe has been one of those guys that has really jumped out. I think that DJ Dell is a guy that we probably haven't talked enough about. It seems like to me like DJ Dell is already almost like a junior. But he's only a sophomore. It seems like he's been here for such a long time. But DJ Dell, who you see on your screen right here, number 94, I think he's a guy who is going to have an excellent showing. He's a big run stuffer, but you need guys to get after the quarterback. And I think LeBron Ray is going to have that opportunity. It's unfortunate that it might be a game time decision for Christian Barmore, but he's going to play. I mean, there's so much talent within this defensive line. I think another storyline going in is Alabama has a new defensive line coach, Freddie Roach. So this will be his first opportunity coaching the defensive linemen. But so many guys played last year as true freshmen, Byron Young, even Ismail Sapshar, I think, is going to get an opportunity. Hearing good things about Tim Smith as well. So even though Christian Barmore might be a game time decision for Alabama or might not even play, we don't know at this time. I think Alabama has so much talent up front and a lot of depth on that defensive line. And I think they'll be just fine.
Would you agree that, let's just say Christian Barmore doesn't play, that you're better off resting him because you have bigger games on your schedule like Texas A&M next week and Georgia in a couple of weeks, that you don't want to risk further injuring his knee in a game that well, as fans, we know that Alabama can pretty much handle, and you don't want to lose Christian Barmore in a serious injury when you're going to need him in bigger games.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and especially with the gauntlet of the entire season. I mean, going through 10 SEC games back to back to back. I mean, you want to be healthy. I mean, it's not a track meet, right? It's going to be a long time coming for this entire season. You need guys healthy, and guys are going to get nicked up. And I think it might be, a lot of frustration for Christian Barmore, a guy who really played like a man on fire towards the end of last year. And he might not be 100%. I don't know what his status is. But if he's, not ready to go, he'll be fine in a couple of weeks, I would assume. And, I think that Christian Barmore is going to have a great season. I know he plays angry, which Alabama's defense certainly needs. And I think Christian Barmore will get to the quarterback sooner or later. And if it's not this time, possibly next week against Texas A&M, because they will need him against Kellen Mond. That guy is a menace. Anything else, Corey, while we got you on the line, buddy?
Is there any fear of Alabama being a little rusty? I mean, we know Alabama's more supremely talented than Missouri, but with no spring practice, the way fall camp went, but just any fear of rustiness, I know we've seen, from what I've seen in college football, there's been a lot of penalties, like false starts, not being lined up correctly, offside penalties, just rustiness. And I know that's something Nick Saban doesn't want to see, but just, are you in any kind of just watching for any rustiness and a slow start? Because I know we want to set the tone and get off to a fast start, but you just never know how his first game's going to go. And that's without, that can be without a pandemic. You can be rusty in your first game, but it can especially happen when, you didn't have spring practice and the way fall camp went.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. I mean, you look at the fact that these guys didn't have a spring game, just as you said. It was a very long fall training camp, though. These guys went at it for a long time. And in my opinion, I think Saban already started the season. I talked about this a couple times. I think he had that first scrimmage, then he had a kind of a situational scrimmage, then he had his second scrimmage officially, and then he took a week off. So I think that you'll understand that this team is already kind of in a game mode. I think they're itching to play another opponent. And Missouri, I mean, got caught, they could get caught in a buzzsaw, in my opinion. And but it wouldn't surprise me if maybe, the first couple series might not go the direction. However, I'm kind of in that camp that feels Alabama just really starts hot, and I think they're going to be fine. I can see this team really turning it up on Missouri early on, but you're right. I mean, these guys haven't played in quite some time, and with no spring training camp, who knows how that could happen. But I think fall training camp was just enough to get these guys ready. But I gotta run, Corey. But thank you very much for calling. I really appreciate it. Please call again during our post game show, which will follow immediately following the football game.
It was good talking to you, Kyle. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you, buddy. Thank you very much, Corey. I really appreciate it. All right, couple housekeeping notes for you guys. Okay, so Friday night. Let's get this banner off the screen. Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. First of all, fam, we need thumbs up. All right. You need to show support for the show. I even got dressed up for you every single Wednesday. All right. Hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate it. If you're watching the show, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you tell your friends and family about the call-in show. We would appreciate it. Friday night, we got the BamaInsider.com tailgate show. I got Mick Gillespie. He's been around for quite some time. Very good at what he does. We're going to talk about Alabama Crimson Tide football. We're going to make predictions. We're going to have fun on Friday night to get you ready for everything that's coming your way between Alabama and Missouri. So definitely join us at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on BamaInsider.com, right on our YouTube channel. So really looking forward to that. Should be a great opportunity. The audio will air on Jocks Radio from 4 to 6 p.m. right before the game. So really excited about what we got coming your way. And then I want to talk to you guys about Saturday. We got a watch party scheduled. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about the game as you guys are watching the game. Should be pretty fun. We're going to have some pizza, some wings, and we're going to talk about the game as we watch the game, just kind of family with family talking about the game. And then immediately following the game, We're going to take your calls right here, 205-850-0883. We're going to talk about what we learned from the game. We're going to have Nick Saban's press conference, all that and more coming your way right here on BamaInsider.com. Please hit the thumbs up. It really means a lot to us. And, of course, the super chats are always welcomed, but a thumbs up goes a long way right here on BamaInsider.com. Lastly, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 50,000 subscribers right here on BamaInsider.com. This isn't a hobby. This is what we do. And I hope you enjoy all the coverage. I mean, it's a grind. I mean, honestly, 5:45 p.m. I was cutting Saban's press conference that you guys watched earlier. Then after that, I did the voice for the practice. Then after that, we tried the first show, which buffering issues, so who the hell knows what went on. And then we got this show going on, and then took your calls, of course, at 205-850-0883. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you very much for giving me your time tonight to talk Alabama Crimson Tide football. You don't have to wait every night or every Wednesday to talk Alabama football. You can go to BamaInsider.com and catch up with me all the time. I was even posting last night, helping a customer out at 2:45 in the morning. That's how much you guys matter to me on BamaInsider.com. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, this is Kyle Henderson signing off. Have a strong Thursday. We'll catch you Friday. And then, of course, on Saturday, Alabama, Missouri, TV, ESPN time, 6 p.m. Be good, fam. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time. See you soon.